Okay, welcome to the 12th tutorial, and this tutorial is going to be on dimensioning. First I want to show you a couple more things about annotation. If you want to move this label, then you can select it and then click on the square to drag the label, and it will create a leader line. You can also change the leader line to have a vertex in it. If you want to go back to the way it was, you can click the circle here to reset it, and again to take it back to the line. So I just wanted you to be aware of that little handy tool there. But let's look at dimensioning. I'm going back to the Annotate tab on the ribbon, and we're going to dimension. Linear, aligned, and angular are probably the most common dimensions you're going to use. And I like to use an aligned dimension. So let's select that, and our dimension style is set to standard. And I want to show you a difference in the two dimension styles. It asks for the first point, so we want to dimension from there to there. Okay. And as you can see, its dimension has started here, but it is very, very tiny. And that has to do with our dimension style and the scale it's set at and settings. Now let's delete that, and let's change this dimension style to annotated. Anytime it says annotated, it's going to be in relationship to your drawing scale. You put that back where it belongs. Okay, so let's try this again in align dimension with annotated style, and we're going to go from that point to that point. As you can tell already, it's made the text much larger so that you can actually read it. It's a little too large for our taste. It's larger than our bearings and distances, which doesn't make any sense. And I don't really like the way it looks. It has these extension lines that come out, and I find that to be a little too much because we already have so many lines on the drawing. So we need to edit this dimension style to make it look the way we want it to look. And the way we do that is by clicking this little arrow on the panel. You can also type dim style on the command line. That will also bring it up. So it shows us this is our dim style manager, and we have our annotative and our standard. So let's go to annotative and let's modify it. You want to make a note of these changes because this is what you'll be doing for your homework assignment. Okay, let's go to the first tab. In the first tab we have dimension line. We can specify the color, line type, line weight, spacing, and you can suppress the dimension line, which is the little lines with arrows. I like those. I want to keep those on there. So we'll not check any of those. The next thing is the extension line. These are these lines right here. And that's what I don't want to see. So let's suppress those. Okay, now let's go to the next tab. Now we can change or modify our arrowhead. Now I think the arrowheads are a little too large, so let's change them to 0.10. Also, if you're going to be annotating a circle radius, it'll show your center mark. Let's check none. That's about all we really need to change on this one. So let's go to the next tab, text. So here you can change your text style. Pick a different text style if you want, color, fill color, and text height. Like we said before, our text height's a little large. We're doing our labels of the bearing and distance at 0.12 inches. So let's take this down a bit. Let's take it down. I like it to be pretty small. So I'm going to take it down to 0.1. That box that I just clicked, draw frame around text. You can put an X around it if you wanted. Okay, this you can change where your text placement is. The text alignment, is it horizontal or is it aligned with the dimension line? Let's select aligned with dimension line. Alright, fit. So in the standard text or dimension style, this is the difference. this annotated scale. When it's not, it defaults to 1 scale. So the text is going to come out really small. And you have to actually change this dimension scale here to be some number. And if you want to do it this way, you can try half of your drawing scale. So 100 in this case might work pretty well. But we're not going to do that. Let's keep it annotated. So as we change our drawing scale, it'll change the scale of this text. It makes it a lot easier if you have to change your scale later on. Primary unit, we're going to use decimal units and precision. When I'm dimensioning distances from the fence to the property line, I don't want to be really specific. I want to be pretty general. So I'm just going to go to 1/10 of a foot. Decimal separator is a period. Also, you want a prefix or suffix for your linear dimension. And I want a suffix. I want an apostrophe there to note that it's a foot. There are other things you can change here too. So units format for angular dimensions. Let's change that to degrees, minutes, seconds, and a precision to the nearest second. Alternate units, nothing there. Tolerances, leave that there. Now let's hit OK. Now we have modified the annotated dimension style. Hit close. Now, this is what it's changed it to. So now it's much smaller. You can see what you're dimensioning, and I think it looks pretty good. It's a little bit smaller than this text here, which is what we want. We don't want it to stand out as much as this text here. Let's try another one. Let's dimension from this property corner to where it crosses the fence there. And so we know the fence line is off that corner and that distance, 17 feet. And you could continue going around the property. I also like to dimension from the corner to that line there. And how do you get that? You can select it by being perpendicular. So if you right click on your object snap, let's select perpendicular, then it'll pick the nearest point to the fence. So it's 4.3 feet offline there. And so you can continue going around the property to get an idea of how far the fence line is off of the property line. You also want to do this with buildings. Say you had a building on the property right here. Then a lot of times they want to know how far that building is from the property line. And so you can use this dimension tool to see how far it is, and we want to go perpendicular. So this building is 99.9 feet from the property line. That's one way you can use dimensions. Another way is to use multi-liters. And I haven't shown you how to do these yet because we needed to change some of the settings. So I thought this is a more appropriate place to do that. Let's just try one quickly to see how well it works. Let's do a multi-liter from this corner, and let's say this is our point of beginning. Okay, close the text editor. You can see that it is teeny, teeny, tiny. And again, this has to do with the scale of that multi-liter style standard. And it does not have an annotated multi-liter style. So let's change it here by opening the multi-liter style manager, and we can create a new one. Let's copy it, and let's call it new. And we're going to start with the standard. So let's continue. Now the first tab is the liter format. And right here, you can make this style a straight liter, or you can check a spline. And I like the spline look. I think the curved look looks better. You can pick whichever one you want. The symbol is at 0.18. Again, I want to take that back down to 0.1. Look at leader structure. And the scale here, you can change that to annotative right there. Content is going to include multi-line text is the type of text that it will use. A text style standard. We're going to keep the text horizontal, and then here it's going to ask for the text type. Let's take that down to 0.1 like we did on the dim style. And the leader attachment is leader connection is going to be horizontally. So let's say OK and close. Now let's select that and change it to new. And as you can see, it creates it according to the settings that we gave it. I've already noticed something that I don't like. I'm going to see if I can change it. There's a landing there so that the text has a landing. And that was what I was afraid of. Here at landing settings, you cannot change that. And maybe it's because I went to spline. Look here. Yeah, it is. So if you want to take that out, then you can uncheck this automatically include landing. So it won't have that. Let's say OK, close, and let's see if we can get it. Let's try a new one. See if that works. Point not sure why it's taking that landing automatically. Anyways, that's what it's supposed to be doing. I wonder if it was a one line, if it would take out that landing. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay, it's because it has two lines, it's putting in the landing there. But if you had it on one line, it would not. Alright, so that's how you create your multi-leaders and your dimensions, and I'll quickly show you the angular dimensions. Basically, it wants to see the angle between two lines. So we could look at this angle here between this line and this line. And you can do the interior angle or the exterior angle, depending on where you move your cursor. And then you click to show a point where you want it placed. I also want to show you quickly how to create an annotation style for the building, because a lot of times you need to annotate a building and you don't want it to quite look the same way as the other dimensions. So let's create a new one starting with annotated, and we're going to call it building. Okay. Now let's take the text type down to like 0.07, and let's just make the arrow size the same as that. We also want to, we want to get rid of the arrows. We don't want any arrows. We don't want dimension lines. We just want to see the length, and we want to take it down to the nearest foot. That's all that's necessary for building. So that should be all the changes we need to make. And hit OK. Now we've got the dimensions for building, and let's just dimension that like that. So there you can easily dimension a building, and you have the height, length and width of the building. Alright, so hopefully you have all the information you need to complete the homework assignment, and feel free to call me or email me for questions.